Oh, I'm going to be making, this is a tutorial for my drawstring bags. Remember I was showing you? I've just made this. This is what you're going to be making. I've just finished this little one. This is a little sweet little love bug Volkswagen print with bright yellow lining. For this size little bag, which is sweet little bag for a little sleepover bag or gym bag, you need half a yard of fabric for the front and half a yard of fabric for the lining. And I would say, I'm trying to figure it out, perhaps a 2 yards of cording. This is not the right cording. I'll tell you why in the video. But you want to get a more substantial cording to open and close your bag. So you might want to get 2 yards. It's cut in half because you need 2 pieces for the drawstring. I hope you enjoy the tutorial. I enjoyed making it. You can make tons of them. You can make bigger ones, smaller ones. It is so easy. And I hope you make them. Give them as gifts. You can make wine bags, all sorts of things. So I hope you enjoy it. And again, thank you for joining me. See ya. So for my drawstring bag, what I've just pulled from my stash is this really sweet, I don't know if you can see it, if it's focused, this sort of love bug Volkswagen novelty print. All the little Volkswagens on the black background. So to make a real sweet little, cutesy little drawstring bag. So what I'm going to need of this is half a yard. I have more. I've just pulled it from my stash, so I have more. And I'm going to use bright yellow lining fabric for my lining. So I literally can just put it on my cutting board, both pieces, and I'm going to cut off 18 inches of fabric from on my cutting board, my 36 down to my 18. So when you go to the shop and you buy the fabric for your drawstring bag, you will need a half a yard of your novelty fabric or your fabric and a half a yard of lining, whatever that may be. Or else you might just want to have, if you have a yard of fabric hanging around, you can do the lining and the bag and the lining in the same fabric. I choose to do it a little bit different. So I have, and this is going to make a decent sized drawstring bag, as you can see. Again, you can make a drawstring bag 6 inches wide. The construction method is for like a wine bottle to like here. But this is how I'm going to be doing my drawstring bag, this size. So I'm just going to be cutting this 18 inches. Both pieces of fabric. And there's my 18 inches. So I'm just going to go and press this, and I'll be back. So I've pressed my 18-inch, my half a yard of fabric, both of them, they're on top of each other, but what I'm trying to achieve is I want the lining and the top, the actual fabric, the bag fabric to be exactly the same size. So again, with selvage edges and the way fabric is made and from the manufacturers, it's all a bit different. So I've turned it on its side, and I'm just going to be cutting off the selvage edges. They're all lined up. This is completely lined up like this. I'm just going to be going along and cutting off the selvage edges. So now I have the lining and the backing the exact same size. So this is the top of my bag, and these are the sides. Now what I do want to do is, because I'm going to be seaming this bottom piece, I'm going to be seaming along here. This is the fold of the fabric, but what you want to do is you just want to cut that off. You just want to cut that fold off of both pieces, because you're going to be making a seam along here. So I've cut that. Let me see, I've squared it up. It's perfectly, this is the top of my top here. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm actually, my other bags, I was looking at it, they are constructed with a French seam, but I've perfected this that I don't need a French seam. My lining is made lovely enough so I don't have to do the seam. I was looking at the way I was making the other ones, and it was just one step. So I've sort of perfected it, and this is much easier. This is so easy, it's not even funny. So what you're going to be doing is you want to put right sides together on both the backing and the lining. I mean the bag, your bag fabric, and the lining fabric. Just put your right sides together, making sure you have it at the top. So this is sort of, I don't know if you can see, a bit of a sparkly fabric. It's real pretty. Real pretty. I didn't press that too well, but that's okay. So you want to put the right sides together on your bag fabric and your lining fabric. And on your bag fabric, this is important, that you want to stitch about 1/2 inch from the top all the way down to the corner, pivot on 3 sides. Now you do want to get your seam ripper out because we're just going to be unpicking a seam, but we can do that a little bit later. I found this method just a little bit easier actually than stopping and starting for the drawstring. So just on 3 sides on your bag fabric, you want to stitch your 3 sides. Okay, I'm going to be doing that, and I'll come back and show you. But on your lining fabric, what I want you to do is I want you to stitch a 1/2 inch from the top to your bottom, and then I want you to come to the end and pivot, and you're going to leave an opening, okay? You're going to leave an opening of about 5 inches at the bottom of your lining fabric. So you're going to come to your corner and stitch, back stitch there, and start again, back stitch to the corner and back up. But I'll show you how I've done it when I stitch it on my machine. I'll come back. So I've stitched on my bag fabric my right sides together, my 1/2 inch seam, okay? But I'm going to take my camera over and I will show you, not that I'm thinking you're stupid, but how I will stitch my lining. So I'm going to take my camera over to my machine now. So I have my right sides together of my sparkly yellow lining fabric. I've just done this with the actual bag fabric. And I'm going to stitch, I go about 1/2 inch, and I'm actually going to do a little bit of a back stitch, and I'm going to come down. I haven't pinned it. You don't have to pin it because it's nice and straight, about 1/2 inch. Come down to the end. I'm going to come to about 1/2 inch, and I'm going to stitch just to about here. And a back stitch a couple times. Now actually you're asking, why is that? This is going to be the lining fabric, and I'm going to turn my bag inside out, you'll see. So here's my end stitch, and I'm just going to come down about that far, same width away, about 1/2 inch. I'm going to back stitch a few times and just come along to this corner. Needle down and pivot. And about 1/2 inch all the way up to the top. I've done the lining and the bag fabric. Exact. It's fairly important that you do it exact, whatever your seam allowance is. Could be a 1/4 inch if that's what you're comfortable with. Okay, now there's my opening to turn my bag, and I'll show you how I'm doing this. So now I've sewed my right sides together of my fabric, and I will just show you what I've done with my actual bag fabric. I've turned it inside out. As you can see, I clipped my edges, my corners, just up here. I clipped my corner seams inside, and I've pulled out my corners, and I've turned it inside, right side out, There's my bag, and I've ironed, I've pressed real nicely along the seam. So that's that one. This is as it came off my sewing machine. I've stitched this. Now, what we do is, this is the right side. The right sides are inside. This is, pay attention here, because what you want to do is you're going to be putting your right sides of your bag, which has been turned properly, into the lining, okay? You're going to be shaking this into the lining like that, and they're actually right sides together. Can you see? They're right sides together. Now very carefully, since you've sewn it since you've sewn it the same, it'll probably be pretty much the same. You want to maybe nest the seams, one going one way, one going the other way. What we're going to do is, I advise you, again, I don't like to pin stuff, but in this case I will. I'll pin these two top edges right along here. I'm going to pin these all the way along, and my seams do match up on the sides. One's going one way, one's going the other way. I'll pin that right along, like that. And you might find that either the lining or the, even though you've tried to be real precise, the lining or the bag fabric might be a bit bigger or smaller than the other. And if you get it one or two tucks, it's fine. It's fine, because it's going to be gathered anyway. So now what I'm going to do is, I'm going to take this over to my machine, and I'm going to sew, again, probably about 1/2 inch, right along the top edge of this bag. So I'm going to actually be sewing this top seam. I've already put it in my machine. Remember, right sides together of this bag. So I've started at the side seam, and I will back stitch, and I'll do it about 1/2 inch along. And I'll be very careful not to catch that underneath there. I have my pin cushion at the ready here over this side, and I'm just going to stitch that along, having pinned it. Be careful with the pins, because make sure that nothing is catching underneath. Have those edges right up together. I got a little bit of a tuck there because it wasn't exactly perfect, but that's completely acceptable. Come along to the next seam. And then along here, 1/2 inch. I'm taking my pins out and putting them in my pin cushion. Come up to my finish, and I'll back stitch. And cut my fabrics. So now we've stitched along this top edge of our drawstring bag. And what do we have now? Remember the opening we have? What we want to do is, we want to pull the body of the bag right gently through the lining, and that hole in the lining. And you're going to end up with this here. And this is going to be your top of your bag. You put that lining inside your bag, tuck that right in, and as you see, no raw seams, no raw edges. The inside of your bag is lovely and lined. Push your corners into your corners real good. Push them right in, your lining corner into your bag corner. And at this point, so we have a lovely lined bag, fully lined bag with completely no raw seams. So now you're saying, well, how do we get the drawstring through there? And that's what I'm going to show you. But first, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? Brenda, what am I going to do? I'm going to iron. I'm going to press this really, really nice. And I'm going to no, I'm not going to. I thought maybe I'll top stitch along there. Maybe I will. But I have white thread in there. I don't want to change my thread. So just imagine this being top stitched along. Actually, I have to change my thread because I have to sew a channel in here, and that's what we're going to be doing. But let me go press it, and I'll be back having changed my white thread into black thread. Oh, but then it'll be black on the, so I'll do black on the top and white in the bobbin. Figure it out. Okay, let me go press this. So I've actually gone and I have top stitched my top edge. I changed the thread. I changed it from black, but I kept the white underneath. Oh, another aside, I wanted to tell you, I have just recently, I was having trouble with my machine. This is just maybe it'll help you, maybe it won't. With my machine, and here, the bobbin thread that I was using forever in my machine, I won't mention the manufacturer, but the bobbin thread must have gotten, I must have gotten a bad batch because it was really messing my machine up, and to the point where I had to take it to get serviced, and they couldn't figure it out because at the service center shop they used they used a certain thread, and they're like, maybe it's the I think I figured it out. I'm like, maybe it's the thread, and sure enough, my bobbin thread was really messing my machine up for the first time forever. So they recommended that I use their thread, which was Aurifil thread. Aurifil thread at their shop was $14 a spool of thread. Here it is, this gold I'm holding in my hands, this gold dust that I'm holding. I bought it, I bit the bullet. This spool of thread from Aurifil goes a tremendous long time, and they did say that for my bobbin. It's very lightweight, 50 weight. It's just wonderful bobbin thread, and my machine is loving it. Now, you know me and getting bargains. So I thought, I can't spend $14 a spool for a thread. I refused. Anyway, I went on Amazon and they had 3 spools for $29. So I bought 3 spools for $29. Even though it's expensive, I recommend this thread, Aurifil, A-U-R-I-F-I-L. It is made in Italy. Apparently it's a really fabulous 100% cotton Italian thread. I'm not a thread snob at all, but man, this stuff is good stuff. And usually if you use a crappy, bad bobbin thread, it'll pull up. Well, it didn't. Look, that's black on the top of my just an ordinary thread, and that's white on the bottom. And it stitches beautifully. It's stitched up beautifully. Anyway, that's an aside. Forget the thread. There's my bag. Okay, now what we want to do is we want to create the drawstring, right? Well, this is where, we're not going to do it yet, but what we're going to do, and I want to show you on this bag, is we're going to create a pocket of a casing. Now this bag, actually I put a topper on it. This is just separate fabric, but I could have done that with this. You could just put another fabric on and then treat the lining as the all-in-one. I could, you can do all sorts of things. You could do this in fat quarters, but I'll talk about that later. I just did 1 piece of fabric. This is 2. But right about here, I have to figure out. Now, I have to figure out, do I want my channel here? Do I want a little ruffle? I like the little ruffle effect. Or I could just have it at the top and have it like that. But I quite like the ruffle effect. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create this channel, and all I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be stitching down maybe about, how much? Maybe about 2 inches I'll stitch down one line of stitching all the way around, right through my, just like I did on my top. I just stitch it right around, right through my lining. I'll stitch one line across all the way around my bag, and then I'll come down, and I'll come down about an inch, and I'll stitch another line right across, and that will create my channel to threadle my my cording in. And when we do that, your bag is done. I mean, flippin' heck, it's so awesome. So I'm gonna I'll take it over to the sewing machine and show you how I'm gonna just stitch that along there. So here I am. I'm going to be stitching my channel along to make room for my drawstring. But this, I want to show you. I don't know if people utilize it. You buy these machines and it has an arm on it, right? But most people have this table. If you're into quilting and you have a bit of a better machine, you have an extension table. Well, the arm is for. I'm going to take my arm off, and I have this free arm, like this open arm, and it's perfect for stitching things in the circular, in the round. See, I can just put my fabric under there. That's what it's for. I think it's for like sleeves for garment making. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start at my seam here, okay, and I'm going to, oh, messed up. Oh, where's my needle? So I'm just gonna start. Oh, I got to reach around this camera. About 2 inches down. I'm not pulling my threads up because I can trim them. Now I want to just back stitch there, and I can eyeball it. I'm eyeballing it from here to there. You might not be able to see it because it's black, but it's stitching. It's stitching along. I'm making this casing. So look how I'm not fiddling about. I'm not messing. My lining is nice and smooth underneath. Oh, it's so dusty. Oh, mate. Well, that's really crappy. But anyway, so here I am. I'm going through that seam, smoothing everything along, making sure my lining is nice and straight there. About 2 inches. Come along there. And then I'm going to be meeting up. And it does, look, this just has a 1 or 2 tucks in it. And that's fine because it has to be. Yeah, that's okay because it's going to be gathered anyway. Not going to see it. So I'm gonna. Oh, my thread broke. Okay, well that's a good place to stop my camera. I'll be back to rethread my machine. Oh, Jean. Okay, technical difficulties taken care of. Made a little tuck. That's fine. I've stitched it around. It's tucked right under there, and I'm going to be about as I said. Remember, about an inch away, just so maybe not even an inch. Yeah, an inch, because you have to threadle 2 pieces of cording. So I just put my needle down, I back stitch a bit, and I just go along about another inch, and I'm forming a casing. I'm just going along. I'm smoothing everything down so I have a nice casing on my machine. So if you have this, oh, that's what it's called. It's called a free arm. Of course, it's called a free arm machine. Oh, mate, but you might want to dust yours now and again. So yeah, you can. It's great. Look, I can just put that right along. I'm coming to that seam. It's about an inch. This is the casing for our our actual string. Yeah, I got a few tucks in there, and that's okay. I'm not bothered. Some might be. I'm not. Okay. So I finished that, and I don't know if you can see. Let me see. On the inside, let me see. Can you see that? There's the white stitching that's formed my casing on the inside, and my black on the outside. So I'm going to put my arm back on. Slots right in. And I'll show you how we insert the drawstring itself. So, I've now stitched along. I did use black. I'm sorry, I should have used something brighter. But hopefully you can see where I've stitched this this casing along my fabric. Now what you want to do, get your handy dandy seam ripper out, and you just want to, between that 1 inch of stitching only on the outside, just, if you have a real sharp seam ripper, did you know seam rippers can get dull? Get yourself a really sharp seam ripper. This is a nice little one. See? Just, you want to open, not the lining. You just want to open the bag stitching right there. You want to do that on each side between, where the heck's the seam? Oh, there it is. You want to do that on each side. Is that the seam? Oh, yeah. Oh, there's black. Oh, my word. Yeah, black on black. Yeah. Oh, for the neck, where is it? Yeah, just take that, just those few little stitches, you can feel them, and open up the bag stitching right there. So you, do it with brighter fabric. Yeah, there you go, there you go. So then you have your opening, okay? You see that? You have your opening of that. Now, I have to, oh, I'm so angry. I was out today and I said to my husband, we have to go to Joann Fabrics because I want to get cording for my tutorial. I want to get a bright yellow, thick cording. And we had to get back, and I didn't get a chance to go. So anyway, using this stuff that I had gotten a million years ago, cording, it's not really, what I'm saying, it's not really thick enough. You want to go and get yourself, I don't know, 2 or 3 yards. I don't know how long, much would you need? Get a couple yards, because we'll figure it out, of this cording. This is just a satin cording. So off of the thing, I'm not going to cut it yet. What I want to do is I want to somehow threadle one piece through. Oh, this safety pin is dull. Oh, leave it to me. Hold up. Where's that freaking safety pin? Oh my word, where are my safety pins? Oh, I'm sorry, I can't find my safety pins. What the heck? Oh, here we go. Here we go. Oh, jeez. Okay, so we want to threadle. What I do is to threadle stuff through. You take a safety pin. Can you see that? And oh my gosh, this is, oh yeah, there you go. And you just push it through so it's nice and sturdy, because you're going to threadle this safety pin right through that seam. It's not going to come out the other way, and you're going to go all the way around. You're going to push that through. You're going to pull that cording through one side, and push that through. And I leave it so I'm not, you know, I don't know how much I'm going to get. You come to the other seam. You have to sort of niggle it through the other seam, because you got a couple seams there. You might have a little bit of a difficulty, but with the rounded edge of the safety pin, yeah, it gets through. So you threadle it through. Make sure you don't come out. You want to go through, all the way through the casing to the other end of this drawstring. Okay, so you're pulling it through, you're threadling this piece through. You can feel that safety pin. I prefer a larger safety pin, and I've allowed myself a large casing so it gets through. It's like threadling a hoodie, sweatshirt, or sweatpants through the casing. You've done that before. Now you're going to come to the end, and there's my, oh no, that's not my safety pin. Oh, that's the lining seam. So you have to sort of, again, mess with it until you get the safety pin out of this seam here, because there's the lining seam and there's the bag seam. I'm sure you've done this before. You're like, where the heck's my safety pin? So you have to sort of find the safety pin. Oh, bummer, I lost my safety pin. Oh, there it is, there it is. See? So I've pulled that. Now I'm going to pull this along. Hope you can see it. I'm pulling this drawstring. Now, because I have this whole thing. I'm going to cut it. I'm going to cut this. I'm going to cut that like there. Okay? So I have that much, and leave that there. Now what you want to do is you want to get another safety, or whatever, another safety pin if you have it, or the same one, I don't know, and do the exact same thing. You want to make sure this is nice and secure so you don't lose this in your casing. And do the same thing, but on the opposite end. Remember, we opened both sides, so you want to threadle this through the opposite end, the other side of your. That's what makes the drawstring pull, right? So you want to threadle this safety pin with your cording. As I said, I would have had a better cording. This is like stupid cording. Love my husband, but I really wanted to go to get my cording. Doesn't he know this is like life and death? So here we go. I've passed that seam, and I'm coming along here. Oh, actually, this safety pin's, oh no, it almost came undone inside there. You can feel it. What the heck? My word. So I'm almost to the end, and then we're almost, then we're almost done. Unravel that. So you have a couple yards. I don't know, cording is a couple pennies. And get something substantial, because you're going to be opening and closing your drawstring bag. But this is actually a polyester thread, polyester cording, so it probably will do okay. It's just not substantial enough. So here I come to the end, and there's my safety pin. Oh, I thought it was. Yeah, there's my safety pin, and I'm going to pull it along, just like I did my other. And I want to get sort of the same amount. So I'm going to cut it. I'm going to cut it like that. Again, I'm going to cut it like that. So now, safety pins notwithstanding, we have a drawstring bag. Look at that. How easy is that? Oh my word. Pretty lined, fully lined drawstring bag. 2 seconds to make. But now this is one thing. Take your safety pins out, and I don't know, like okay, so you have this here. Now that's miles too long, or maybe not. Yeah, I think it is. When it's closed, right? But when you open, so I'm going to make a knot. I'm going to make a knot. Now I was looking that you actually can burn this stuff and do the ends. I just make a knot, a double knot and a triple knot, and yeah, I just make a knot on each side, sort of the same length along. Here, I've wasted a little bit. You won't be wasting it. Try to figure it out how much you need. Oh, there I go with measurements again. I'm sorry. Sorry. A yard or two, no, not a yard. A yard and a half, 2 yards. So I've made 3 knots, and I'm going to trim off the ends of my drawstring. I'm fine with that. And then you want to go open it, and there it is. And there you go. Closed. Opened. Closed. Open. Fully lined. Nice, substantial. Completely no raw edges inside. Completely done. Look. So you can imagine this in, you can do it in denim with a nice cording for guys, for sneaker bags. What I did do on the others, which I don't think I even have to do, is I actually sort of like made a corner down here. I don't have to do that. It's just, I quite like it like that. What's it holding? I mean, you know, smelly clothes or something from your kid. So, yeah, so it's a nice little bag. Recycle, take it to the grocery store for so yeah, sorry, the camera just went off. So yeah, there's my bag all finished, but then I just realized it's not finished because we have that hole in the lining. Remember that? So what you want to do is you want to go along, you want to pull your lining out, because you don't want, you don't want to lose your keys in the lining, between the lining. And what I would do is literally, I won't even show you because you can just do it. I won't show you on the machine. I'll finish up now. Because you'll never, ever, ever see the light of day, I would do the seam, find the hole, and then literally just, there's your hole, right? Just, if you want to, do it really nice. Do it by hand. Ugh, no. I'll just take that over to the machine and zip that along along the machine, just to close that lining up. You'll never, ever, ever see it again. It's stuck in there. Yeah, there's your little drawstring bag. And, I mean, literally, how long did that take? Half a yard of fabric. Half a yard of fabric to make a bag this size. I think that's a pretty decent size. I like that. Now remember, you want to get a bit of cord and cut it in half, because you need 2 pieces. Remember, you're going to need 2 pieces. Again, if you wanted to make it, you can make it any size you want. If you made it, 3/4, this is your half yard here, but you could make it much bigger if you wanted. You could make it smaller for a bottle of wine to take as a hostess gift. You can make a massive big one, like I was saying, to take to the beach. You could line it with a toweling or a big, and get like big thick rope cord. It's a really nice handy dandy little bag, and I think a nice little present for somebody. All sorts of little handy, all sorts of uses for this bag. So I hope you enjoyed this little tutorial. Hope you make it. Again, it's just a few easy seams, and yet I think you get a big bang for your buck. So thanks again, folks, for popping in and visiting me. See ya.